Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to Mentor Monday. Mentor Monday is your weekly microdose of encouragement, inspiration, and miracle grow on your potential as a coach. Sorry that we got on just a little bit late. We had a little bit of trouble with our streaming service that was not letting us hit the live button. I have no idea why, but we got it fixed as quickly as we possibly can. So thanks for your patience and sticking around. Also, ahead of time, I'm going to ask for grace and mercy with regard to my voice. We're still in the process of getting this throat back into condition and everything else. So if you hear a lozenge pop around my mouth a couple of times or whatever as we are here today, I appreciate your understanding on that. Hey, do me a huge favor and jump in on the chat and tell us hello. Tell us where you're joining us from. One thing that you're excited about today that you feel life and momentum on. There is Dr. William Stewart joining us from Allen, Texas. Welcome. Anybody else like to say hello? There's Lim. Good to see you. Thank you. Anybody else like to say hello as we are jumping in? And again, my apologies for us being just a little bit tardy. Sometimes technology is amazing when it's working perfectly. And then sometimes when it's not working perfectly, things just kind of like happen. I don't know. Things just kind of happen sometimes. So anyway, cool. Chantel, who's joining us from Raleigh, North Carolina. Let's see, who else do I need to say hello to? Gyla from Casper, Wyoming. There's Coach K. Texas is definitely in the house today, isn't it? Let's see, who else do I need to say hello to? Kareen from Arizona. Gigi joining us from California. Oh, more Texas in the house. Way to go. Let's see, who else do I need to say hello to? Camilla from Lebanon. Awesome. V, hello, V, who's joining us from South Carolina. Let's see. Oh, trying to keep up here. Where else do we have? We've got Saudi Arabia in the house. Gloria, who is joining us from Miami. Marcia, who is joining us from Trinidad. Don, who's joining us from Florida. Welcome. Lawrence from New Jersey. Awesome. Well, listen, everyone, I've missed you the last couple of weeks as I've been trying to get well and all of that other great stuff. But I'm excited because this week what we're going to be doing is that we're actually going to be starting a new series. And this new series, which we're just simply calling How to Stop Holding Yourself Back. And so what I did last week is I sent an email out to literally thousands of aspiring coaches, asking really the question, what do you see as the roadblock that's actually keeping you from getting started? And so what we did is we collected all of these answers and we kind of took the most popular ones and put this series together based on that. And so this week, we're talking about perfectionism, which I'll tell you this, it's an incredibly common one that stands in the way for a lot of coaches getting started. And so I'm more than happy to talk about perfectionism today. That's probably something that I battled with at some point early in my career. But once I figured out exactly what it was that I was up against and also a strategy to really overcome it, that's when I really got freedom and I started like not working against what I'm actually trying to accomplish. And so today we're going to look a little bit at what is the root of perfectionism, or at least what does it actually sound like? What does it look like? And then what's a really quick strategy? Because what I'm really into are hacks. I'm not trying to give you a therapy session today. I'm not trying to counsel you and I'm also not trying to tell you that there's something broken or something that's wrong with you. There could be some hurts. There could be some wounds. There could be some belief systems and everything else that need to be fixed. But what we're always trying to do as coaches is a couple of different things. One is to really empower you. You know what? If you know that this is something that is popping in right now with regard to your coaching career and you getting started, I guarantee you this thing has shown up in other areas of your life as well. How you show up in one area of life is also how you show up in other areas of life. So if this is stopping you with regard to coaching, it's probably stopped you in other areas, maybe relationally, maybe in your career, maybe in your education, maybe as a parent. I guarantee it's showing up in other areas of your life. And so what I really want to do today, let's look at it, but I want to give you hacks, but you also know what to do about it. This is what I really believe, and this is what coaching does, is it empowers people. I believe you know what to do about it. I don't think it's rocket science. I don't think it's difficult to overcome perfectionism. I don't think it's some kind. Now, I can guarantee you there are some people who struggle with perfectionism that had major trauma and hurts and pains in their life. And for those people, I believe that some of those people might need to spend some time in healing. So I don't want to generalize that no one needs healing with regard to this. But I would argue that probably 90% of you guys really, if you just had the tools and you just had a strategy, you could actually make a way forward. And that's what I'm hoping that we'll really be able to do today. So what does perfectionism look like? And honestly, in everyday life, I'm not going to talk about every aspect of your life, but it probably shows up in a number of different ways in your everyday life. And again, a guarantee of showing up in one area, it's showing up in others. But what we want to look at is how is it showing up for coaches? One of the things that you can see with regard to perfectionism that you see with coaches is that a lot of times it's an all or nothing perspective. And when I say all or nothing, I really believe if I was able to just like draw a really quick picture of it, and let me see if I can get a canvas up that doesn't have a ton of writing on it, and then I'll actually be able to do that for you. Let me see if I can just like get a new blank canvas up and I'll show you what I'm really talking about in this. Move ahead a little bit. There we go. So when I say all or nothing, I think that what happens and gets a lot of people stuck is that they have this ideal of themselves that kind of looks like this. Like if this is their future self, right, with a crown on or whatever, and smile on their face or whatever. If this is their future self, this is the ideal. This is them fully manifested, or any of those kinds of things. What most people do, and I say all or nothing, that this is the all picture. But where are we all starting? When we start something new, you know what we're doing in most cases? We're starting at 0, or maybe we're starting at 20. We're trying to get to 100, right? And so what I think that happens in a lot of cases for people is that there's that overwhelming picture of the fully manifested version. It's the Tony Robbins picture, or you fill in the blank with your favorite life coach or helper or whoever it is in the world that you look at in your Instagram. And I believe that a lot of people are looking at that. They're trying to see themselves fully manifested. Now, here's the reality, is that for all of those people, there was a lot of years, there was a lot of work involved. Listen, for some of those people, you're seeing the full manifestation of a lot of things that they've worked on in themselves, tools, tricks, ideas. You don't see all the failures. You don't see all the wrinkles. You don't see all of the struggles. But we're trying to start from 0, and we're thinking of the all picture of ourselves. And you know what happens? Same thing happens for our clients. A lot of times what ends up happening for people not able to move forward in things is this perfection idea of what this looks like fully manifested. And you know what? That'll punch you in the gut. It'll literally take the wind out of your sails really quickly. If you don't understand that there's really a process of today to get us towards something. Like if I told someone, this is going to take you 2 years. This is going to take you 4 years. If I even said that, like for some of you, me just saying 2 years or 4 years, you're like, oh, that's like forever. I need it to happen this week. And you know what happens? Is that we don't start. Matter of fact, most of us probably haven't realized how quickly 2 or even 4 years goes. Now, listen, I don't think starting a coaching practice really takes that long. You're pretty much profitable in your first month. There's all of these things that I could tell you factually, that if you started today, if you began today, and if you were focused on the process, that the process is actually what gets you to what you actually want. But you're never going to start if you're focused on with a perspective of all or nothing. Actually, there's not just all or nothing. There is the beginning of what the potential is of today, of this week, of this month, of the next couple of months towards where we're going. But I think that a lot of times people who have a perfectionist tendency are unable to see what the big picture is. And so what you have to go right back to is, what is your why? What is most important? What is the greater picture? The people who are able to see the bigger picture and how I fit today towards that thing are the people who are actually able to make today really count, and for today to be just as motivational. Like, some of you are real visionary. You think in pictures. And visionary people in general have a lot of trouble with the day-to-day kinds of things, the day-to-day kinds of activities, what I've got to get done today. And they get bored. And you'll find them over here dreaming and strategizing in some other kind of way, but there's other business that actually get taken care of today. This is a struggle of a lot of perfectionists, and we've got to change it. Let me keep moving on, though, because I don't want to talk about the problem forever. I want to move you guys on to the strategy. But what else does perfectionism actually look like for an aspiring coach? Also looks like procrastination. It's amazing when we know that there's something that we want really bad in our life, but there's some kind of a painful part. We associate pain with whatever we've got to do today in some form or fashion. And so what perfectionism does is that it causes us to procrastinate and to never actually start. In many cases, the pain that we associate with the process of, what do I need to do to get this done? Like, for those of you who are like, I want a coaching career. I want to make six figures, multi-six figures as a coach. I want to have total freedom. I want to have my life on my own. I get to make choices. I want to be able to take care of my kids or whatever. And then when you think about what actually has to get done to do that, it suddenly just saps your strength. And there are some times that procrastination is just simply the fear of failure. And so what we do is that not starting doesn't make us have to deal with the possibility of failure in our life. Here's the next thing. Procrastination also looks like the fear of trying new things. You wouldn't believe how many people that we still hear from that have been in the process of a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years of talking about a coaching career. And you know what they have done? They have stayed put where they are at. Even though they hate where they are at, there's something about where they are at that's still comfortable and keeps them where they are at, where they won't actually attempt something new, whether that be because of failure or it just simply is the payoff of staying where you are at. Because all we have to realize is that if we're staying where we're at, there's a payoff. Even though we hate it and it's not perfect, it's at least consistent. It's at least certain. You at least know what to expect. Because I will say, perfectionists in general are control freaks. They don't want anything that is not completely, or at least feels completely, in their control. One thing that the last couple of years should tell us, so there's very few things that are actually within your control. You might try to anticipate it. You might try to batten down the hatches. You might try to hunker down, but you know what? Hunkering down it's a myth. It's something that's in your mind that's kind of giving you a sense of satisfaction. But the reality is that we all know that anything can be taken in a moment's time. Here's the next thing about procrastination. About perfectionism, is that the people who are perfectionists are also incredibly indecisive. And so if you're struggling with procrastination in your life, you probably have noticed that there's an inability, there's a struggle to make decisions or to be clear about what decisions that you're supposed to make. So what I'll see sometimes, I'll see a coach come in and maybe they'll do the free course or they'll go to a couple of workshops or whatever. And this is years in the making. I've watched these kinds of things that people will do. They will start, and in their mind, doing the activity of a class or a workshop is actually making a choice. It's actually making a decision, but it's not really making a decision. Decisiveness, taking decisive action, means that you've got to make a clear, irrevocable choice towards something, that you burn your bridges and you can't actually go back. See, what a lot of people will do is that they might take a course, they might take a class, they might even go and get certified, but they don't actually have a plan to go and do the stuff of like going and marketing their business. They never have a plan of actually taking their vacation days. I'm giving you some examples of what I did. Took my vacation days, and all my vacation days were actually used working with clients, working with the bigger clients when I needed an all-day thing. Saturday mornings, early Saturday morning, getting up before everybody else is up to be able to spend, giving up sometimes my own sleep or whatever to do these kinds of things. See, these are the kinds of things that are what I would call clear, irrevocable decisions. Is that when you've actually mapped something out and you're saying, I am actually going to begin. This is when I'm going to begin. This is when I'm going to do this thing. And we're making decisions that we can't just pull back from. So you can go take a course. You can actually go get certified and never actually work towards your business. You can teach yourself that you're actually growing yourself. Like, I'm watching a bunch of videos about it and I'm reading things about it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go and get trained. I'm not saying that you shouldn't know more and more about your craft. I'm saying that those are safe activities that you can do without truly making a decision. I can tell if somebody's made a true decision because I can look in the action of their life. Some of you who are struggling with perfectionism, if you got certified like 6 months ago and you haven't started your business, you have found a way to not actually make a decision to start your business. You're doing other kinds of things. You're doing other kinds of activities. You've got other kinds of priorities and things that keep coming up. Things that keep coming up, other priorities, anything that you're finding to give you an excuse for not making a decision is probably perfectionism. You're avoiding something. You're avoiding failure. You're stopping from actually moving towards the thing that you want. And so indecisiveness can actually get corrected really easily. And I'll give you a secret as to how you do that. If you ever find a time in your life when you can't make a decision, it's because you don't know what's most important. And if you know what's most important, then that's always the guiding line of how you make a decision. So anytime you're struggling with something, you haven't figured out what's most important. So a lot of times people will get really indecisive, but if you know what's most important, which is my freedom during this time, or maybe you do figure out what's most important, which is, hey, let's stay in this job that we're at for the next year, and then and then on this date is when we're going to actually embark. Right now is not the greatest timing that we should have towards something, whatever it is, but know what's most important. When you don't know what's most important, you can't make a decision. Here's another thing that you'll see is that you'll see again that whole afraid of making a mistake. I see this with a lot of coaches starting out where they won't choose a niche. They won't choose their branding. They won't make a decision about who it is that they actually want to work with, what problems that they help people solve. When I see that indecision and they're so afraid of making a mistake, that's always going to be perfectionism in and of itself. That keeps you stuck where you are and it takes away your options. That's the way that it actually looks. So it's similar to being indecisive. But when you are so overwhelmed by making a decision because you think that somehow you could possibly make a mistake, that's perfectionism. It's designed to shut you down. Perfectionism is designed to actually not move you forward. It's not really. Perfectionism's end game is not to make you better. Perfectionism is to keep you where you are because you're actually being led by fear, not wisdom. The last thing that I'd say about perfectionism is that a lot of the things that kind of inform it often are comparison to other people. And that's why when we're looking at people online, the people that we want to aspire to be, that we're inspired by, a lot of times people try to make it look too easy. You know, I don't know who said it, but you know that there's a lot of overnight success that actually took like 2 years, 3 years, or whatever. So a lot of times we're comparing ourselves to this multimillionaire and we're still working an hourly job trying to start our first entrepreneurship opportunity. I know that there are a lot of these people who probably, in the last 5 years, they became an influencer on Instagram or YouTube and something just caught fire and all of a sudden this thing happened. My wife and I were actually talking this morning and see a lot of these people who are in these, get onto these, what I would say are unhealthy health trends, these unhealthy ways of losing weight and everything else. And what will happen in a lot of cases, because here's the thing, is that there's some of these people that we actually know. We have them in our life, right? You guys have these people as well. that all of a sudden they start showing these pictures of themselves where I was able to do this. This was 1 year ago, and today I look like this. When the reality is that all of us who are friends with them know that that picture was taken a couple of years ago, and that they were bloating their stomach out when they were doing it, and that they act like they've never had any kind of work done, but they're using every kind of Instagram filter that they can possibly find for all of their lives and everything else. So there's a lot of that stuff that's going on there. It feeds into this comparison trap. The reason why these people are doing it is because they're trying to act like they are incredibly extraordinary. But why don't you tell the real truth? Man, I struggled with my weight, and 2 years ago finally became a tipping point where I was tired of looking in the mirror in this thing, and I started working really hard, and I started changing things. And you know what? For the first couple of months, it took a lot of work, and there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but I finally hit that tipping point, and this is who I live like. See, people are afraid to say that because they don't want to seem ordinary. They want to look so extraordinary. That's the reality is that things actually take work. Listen, everybody who's sitting here today, none of us have all of our ducks in a row, but I will say that for every one of you sitting here right now, reason why you're sitting here today is you want something more. I guarantee you, you're not the same person you were 5 years ago. You're not the same person you were 2 years ago. You're not the same person you were a year ago. You've become self-aware. You've worked on things. You've grown. You're not perfect, but none of us are perfect. But I guarantee you that you are transformed. And those are the very things that actually give you credibility, because this is what's real. You know what's real? Is that the person who struggled with their weight and has never gotten in the gym a day before in their life has a lot of belief systems and different things that are going on there that are keeping them from being able to do that. And we all know that if they started something in January and they're getting some results right now, man, more power to them. But if the belief systems don't change, we know that the likelihood that they're going to cycle back to who they were before. We know that. We don't even have to be people don't even have to be coaches to know that that's the reality of things. And so what we have to understand is that there's an unfair comparison that we're doing. You know, there are certain people who have worked really, really extravagantly hard to get what they have. The beauty of today is, I will tell you this. The beauty of today is it's much easier to build a profitable business within a few months than it ever has been for as long as we can think about it. Like if you can go back generations, it would take like a generation or two generations for a business to actually be profitable and all kinds of stuff. We're way past that these days. Like it can happen, like we're in light speed when it comes to that. But I will tell you, there's an everyday work to do, right? Not that you have to spend hours doing something, but there's work that's actually involved. I'm sorry. I don't want to like offend anybody or hurt anybody's feelings or dash anybody's dreams, but we're talking about life here. We're not talking about getting something cheap and going and finding a lottery ticket. And and I think that a lot of people are looking for lottery tickets. And there's a lot of very, very, very extremely poor people because they are looking for the winning lottery ticket. We have to understand is that the reason why we are here today is because of a lot of decisions that were made before our life, but then a lot of decisions that we have had power to make about our life and the way that we think about ourselves and the way that we need to move forward. Perfectionism is one of those things that unless you change it, and you have the power to change it, and you have the power to make a different decision today about your life. So you've been procrastinating on getting trained and certified as a coach. You've been procrastinating on actually going out to a networking group or getting out there and putting your name out there or whatever. You know, I hear coaches a lot, man, I'm just afraid of putting my name out there. I'm afraid of being discovered that I'm really not that great. I'm afraid of meeting with somebody and finding out that I'm really not able to help them or whatever. Listen, you're literally talking in your imagination. Like none of these things have actually happened. You just need to start. And when you start, you find out what you need to know and you find out what you need to grow. So let me give you the quick hacks on how we actually change this thing, because I want to give you quick hacks to get unstuck. And we're going to do this really quickly. The first thing is that we've got to adopt an upgrade mindset. And what do I mean by upgrade mindset? The first thing is understanding, and we all know this intuitively, right? But people try to act like like this is a real thing. Nothing is perfect. Even the people who look perfect, nothing is perfect. And thank God that nothing is perfect. You know why? You know why we don't want everything to be perfect? Because none of us have anything to offer if everything is perfect. If every product has been thought of, if everything that was to be discovered had been discovered, if everything that was created was already in its fully perfected state, we would have nothing left to do on this planet. Thank God that there's still work for us to do. If I'm going to look around and I'm going to see problems, you know what that means? It means that there's plenty of business out there to be found. Whenever you can find a problem to solve, there's a business, there's hundreds, millions of dollars to be made because of that problem. Now, there was a person, a fairly well-known person, who built a car called a Model T. And he had a guy who was working with him. Basically, in that person's mind, Henry Ford, he thought the Model T was perfect. You know, the Model T, everybody running around, everybody had the same color. They had the exact same options when they bought that car. Came off the factory line. It was exactly like it was. Well, he had a person who was working for him who was like, what if we did some upgrades? What if we did something different? Because they thought, hey, maybe somebody wants something more. Maybe we could add some more features. Maybe we can improve upon what we're doing. And so what this guy did that was working for him actually built this thing and showed it to him, thinking that Henry Ford's like progressive and like, yeah, because if you're progressive enough to move from a horse and a buggy to actually making a mechanical car, you think this person understands upgrade. This person understands improvement. This person understands growth. Well, bad part about it is that Henry Ford went crazy, started smashing the thing and destroying it in front of that designer's face, like right in his presence. The problem was that designer went on to the competitor, and you know what? They started kicking their butt. And it really made it not only a reality, but it was actually the problem for Henry Ford is that I don't know that he ever really caught up because he wasn't able to understand upgrade. He wasn't able to understand that nothing is actually perfect, whether it was his own perfectionism, his own fear, whatever it was, but it was a huge setback. What we have to understand is that there is a such thing. Even that at the same time that there's nothing is perfect, there is a such thing as good enough, finished enough, and certain enough. What do you mean by that, Paul? Here's what I mean, is that at a certain point, you've got to start. At a certain point, you've got to roll out whatever it is that you bring to the world, whatever you bring to the planet, you've got to roll it out and get it out there. You know, if there's anything that we should know, if any of you are holding one of these babies today, you know that they upgrade these things every year. Now, some of you understand, some of you have older phones. I know some people who get the new phone as soon as they get it. And I'm not one of those people. I like to stay a few months behind everybody. And the reason why? Because the upgrade usually has some issues, doesn't it? They were correcting some stuff. You know what they were doing? They were like, this is not perfect, but I understand that I'm not trying to be perfect. I understand that everything needs to be scaled. Everything needs to grow. Everything needs to be developed. We're not going to get it right the first time. But just because I don't get it right, 100% right, that doesn't exist. I have to go with what I actually have. And when you put that out there in front of everybody, now I can figure out, wow, I thought that was going to work better than that. Or, man, that worked a ton better than what I thought. What if we offered this? What if we made this modification moving forward? See, this is the way that the most successful businesses actually operate. The Apples or any of those companies that you can think that have a raving fan base that go out and buy their products. And, you know, you guys might be like me when you see that software update on your phone, you're like, I don't want that. It's probably going to mess up my phone. And you know what happens? You get a software update, and then 2 days later, there's another software update because they realized there were some mistakes with that one. And we didn't know how all those things were going to play. We didn't test everything out. Listen, this is the upgrade kind of culture that we live in, is that we understand that if you do not upgrade and also if you don't roll out what you have, then you're probably going to be missing precious time. Some of you have been more than finished. You know what? That might mean 60 or 70%. That's as certain as you're going to get. It's as perfect as you're going to get. And after you roll it out, then you know what? You'll know what you don't know. You'll know what you need to change. You know what kind of growth that you need to do. You know if you need to go back to the drawing board in a couple of ways. But the hack around this thing, like I can't fix everything with regard to perfectionism. There's some things that you probably need to go and look at and maybe ask some questions in your life or whatever. But I can take on a new belief system that is all about understanding upgrade and realizing that every day is a chance for an upgrade. Every day, with my learning, with my development, with the products, the services that I create, all of those things, I understand that I'm not trying to create something that's perfect. I'm trying to create something that actually helps people. And when I get the feedback and I can see what works and what does not work, I will make adjustments. Look at it like, I'll give you an example. Yesterday, so excited, Cincinnati Bengals came back from 18 points down to win the game, going to the Super Bowl, first time in 3 decades, which is insane. Why do I care about that? Because of LSU. I'm a huge LSU fan, and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, who are a national championship duo, they're playing for this team, and it's amazing watching this. And so I'm really super excited. Now, I kept watching the game when they were down 18 points yesterday. You know why? Because I understood that there's adjustments to be made. We've got a whole halftime. And now these coaches are looking at what's going on and see these are professional athletes. Now, as long as their mindset doesn't get to this idea of, well, I'm a loser, I'm a failure, we suck, this doesn't work, because there's some people who do that and pull themselves out of the game. No, what they did was, I'm really good enough to be able to figure out what's going on midstream and make the adjustments that I need to make. And they made the adjustments, and defense did a heck of a job, and they won that game. It was pretty insane. So what does that tell us? Is anytime that you need to make an adjustment, you make the adjustment, and you expect that you're going to have to make an adjustment. You do something, you let it sit out there for a little while, you see if it's working, and then you make adjustments. That's what we do. That's what business people do. But it's also what we do as coaches, even the people that you're working with. Wow, I don't feel like this is really working with this particular client. What do? Not all clients are equal. They're not all the same. You make adjustments. You figure out what works and you move on. Here's the next thing, is that upgrades can happen anytime that you need them. You can make an upgrade. You can do 0.1. You can do 0.123. You can do anything that you want. And we understand that if I can grab a hold of understanding that growth is what my goal is, not perfect. Growth is development. Upgrade is my goal. Then I free myself, because I can't just, well, I'm going to quit trying to act like I'm perfect and focus on that. What I want to do is I want to actually grab on a new belief system and a new perspective and grab a hold of that and move towards that. Here's the next thing, is that you're going to have to start to set deadlines for your decisions. And what do I mean by that? Well, here's the thing. All of this is a bunch of mumbo jumbo. It's a lot of great, inspiring kind of stuff if you don't, unless you set a deadline. If you don't set a deadline, all I gave you was inspiration. Deadlines do this. Let's think about it from a school perspective or a college perspective or whatever, wherever you went to school. One of the things that's cool about going to school is that for all of us who procrastinate, put things off, don't think we're ready, all of that other stuff, you know what? Day of reckoning's coming. November 11th, you are going to have this exam. Whether you got to study, whether you studied your butt off, whether you're sick, no matter what's going on, November 11th, we know when that exam is coming. And what you do from now up to that exam is all up to you, because you're an adult now, right? We're college students, right? You're an adult right now. But November 11th, we're going to find out what you do know and what you don't know, and whether you were truly ready or you weren't ready. This is what deadlines actually do for us. Now, listen, when we've left school, that setting, college, even the workplace, people that we're working for, when it comes to our dreams, your dreams pretty much never have deadlines on them, do they? I mean, most people's dreams don't have deadlines. The things that you really want in your life, you probably don't have it on a calendar right now. Could I go in your Google Calendar or your calendar on your phone or on your refrigerator And you know what I'll see? I'll see your kids' projects. I'll see certain wedding announcements and different kinds of things and different events like that. But what about your dreams? What about your desires? What about the things that you have in your heart? See, perfectionists won't set a deadline because they're too afraid of failure. But the way that you overcome perfectionism is that you're saying, hey, regardless of what happens, March 1st, 2022, because I've had this dream in my heart for the last 5 years, but I realized that since 2017, that 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, because I have been a perfectionist, because I have not set a deadline, because I haven't held myself to a standard of accountability, that now that day is going to come. And regardless of what happens, this is the day that we begin. This is the day that we get something done. It's what you've got to do. It's the hack around all of these things. And I would say that that's probably the most powerful tool out of all of these. And I'm going to give you a few reframes as well. 4 reframing statements for you to look at with regard to yourself as a coach and as a business. The first thing is that the worst thing my coaching could do is encourage a person. That's the worst thing that could possibly happen. I know some of you are like, well, I don't feel like I know enough. I don't feel like I've practiced enough. Well, here's the reality is that you are running a coaching practice. That's what it is. It's practice. You know what? Not getting experience is not improving your coaching. Withholding, attempting something is not making you better. And so the first thing we have to understand in this reframing is that the worst thing that could happen when you're coaching someone, I've never seen someone walk away from a coaching, even if it was a bad coaching session, somebody walk about, I'm so discouraged by this. No, like even if you are a terrible coach, because that's number 2, even if you're a terrible coach starting out, even bad coaching helps people. I know this. You know, even I'm telling you, as a coach trainer, and after watching so many hundreds, thousands of coaches at this point doing this thing, some that don't even know what they're doing, like making all kinds of mistakes, blowing off, like doing everything wrong, giving advice to people. You know what I find is that even bad coaching helps people. People are so lonely and they are so desperate, and no one's helping them with their dreams. No one's helping them get past anything. Even if you're doing a terrible job, the client typically does not even know what's going on because they have no expectation. You can know that if you go out today with your rudimentary skills, even if you've had very little practice or whatever, that you will walk away and that people will be encouraged and that it will help them no matter how bad it is. Here's the next thing. Is that we have to put on this mindset of, I am a professional coach who's always committed to growing, and that most growth happens when I'm working my craft, not merely studying it. Listen, I'm all about you guys studying. We have advanced skills training. We've got a lot of different opportunities for you to grow. I hope you commit to growth for your lifetime. But a lot of people believe that the more you know, the more that you grow, but that's not really true. What's true is experience is the greatest teacher. When you go out and you work with people is when you find out what you do know. You find out what you don't know. You find out what you need to develop, what you need to study, all those other things. Everything else over here is all about theory, right? It means that you can pass an exam. It means that sometimes you can hear a good quote and then you can repeat that. That's awesome. But that doesn't mean that you're actually a great coach. What helps you become a great coach is actually working with people. It's using every opportunity that you can to put those skills in action. You can do that with your kids. You can do that with your husband. You can do that with people at work. You can do that anywhere that you can start to develop these kinds of things. Here's a 4th reframe I want to give you. 4th reframe is this, is that I give myself the freedom to make adjustments whenever I see fit to develop myself, my business, and serve my clients better. This is what that reframe is all about. Upgrade is understanding that I give myself freedom. My goal is not perfection. My goal every day is growth. My goal is to serve people to the best of my ability, to develop myself, to create things that can actually help people get insights, get breakthrough, change their life. That's when I understand that my goal is serving people. and that people are all over the map and I'm getting to know them and I'm doing my homework on them and everything else, I can give myself freedom that, you know what I actually do today can change tomorrow, or it can be altered. You know what? That beautiful website that you just launched can change. Change your domain name, change your branding, just as easily as you change your hairstyle, color of your hair, or whatever. I'm not into something to last a lifetime. It's fine if you choose a niche and you work with that niche for the rest of your life. You don't have to. You can change your mind about things. You can find micro niches. You know what? I found some of our coaches started out doing one thing and then they discovered their passion in the process. They just found a group of people. They found one little micro niche in the middle of things, and they became six-figure coaches out of that. You can change anytime that you want, or just alter it, or just develop it more, or make modifications. But you've got to give yourself the freedom to make these kinds of adjustments, make those kinds of adjustments in your own development. Make any kind of adjustment that you want to make, because again, the focus is the upgrade. The focus is the growth. The focus is, hey, you know what? I may not know everything that I need to know, but it doesn't keep me from being able to start. When you go on a vacation, or you go on a 3-hour trip and you've never been to that city before, and you pop it up in Google Maps on your phone, you know what? The only part of that trip that might be familiar is the first few steps, trying to get out of town, trying to get on the freeway. Get on the freeway at a certain point. You know what? All you needed was the first step. All you needed was the first direction, because we can count on the next direction is going to get there. That's what we have to understand. It's the way we have to look at our life. It's the way we have to look at our business. I don't need to know what the full picture is, because I understand that in most cases, in starting a business and in anything that we do, the picture that we start with is not usually what it looks like when we get there, and it's completely okay. Give myself the freedom to be able to do that. Let me pay the bills really quickly. I'm going to talk about two things really quickly, and then I'm going to answer any questions that we have. For one, for those of you who have never gotten trained and certified as a coach, there's a couple of opportunities that you have. Let me jump ahead of this, because I want to tell you about bootcamp that's coming up February 11th through the 13th. If you're part of the Jumpstart program, it's actually included in your Jumpstart subscription. I'll talk about Jumpstart in a minute. Bootcamp weekend is February 11th through the 13th. You can start on a Friday night and get certified by that Sunday night. You can wake up Monday morning a certified coach. So for some of you who are like, oh, if I just had the time or whatever, like, today's the day to make the commitment then. Make the commitment. Start with us on Friday. You're done Sunday evening. All of this is over the weekend. So it's after hours. Starts on a Friday night at 5 p.m. Pacific, which is 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Starting that Friday night, we get up the next morning. We go all day on Saturday, all day on Sunday. There's 7 total sessions. Some of the things that we're covering during this, and this is not an exhaustive list, but what is coaching? What are the 4 lenses of a first-class coach? The steps of a coaching session, building a coaching framework that gets results, focused, effective coaching that cuts out the fluff, how to help your clients maintain motivation. We give you 2 models of coaching: core skills and characteristics for breakthrough coaching, best practices for ethical coaching, how to ask powerful questions, how to build coaching relationships that last, what to include in coaching agreements. We can cover so many more things than that. It is live. It's expanded training that we do not cover in the Life Coach Training and Life Coach Certification course. We do live Q&As at the end of each one of those sessions. And there's also live coaching practice demos. You get replays for bootcamp for the next 6 months afterwards. And the cost is only $247. Life Coach certification is included because the exam is also part of this entire thing. The entire weekend is only $247. And there is a payment plan that you can take advantage of if that's a little bit hard to swing right now. Now, let me tell you about Jumpstart really quickly, because bootcamp is one of the offerings that's a part of Jumpstart. Jumpstart, what we wanted to do is not only train and certify you as a coach, but for some of you who are like, well, I can't start until I don't know the steps to actually starting my business or to create a program or any of these other things. That's what we actually do in Jumpstart. You get trained and certified as a coach because you do have access to bootcamp. You do have access to the Life Coach certification course. You knock those things out. Our core modules of Jumpstart are about 40 core modules that will walk you through the A to Z on how to develop your business, how to discover a target market, how to discover a niche, how to sell, how to do your branding. We have 13 hours set aside just for branding in Brand Camp that we have available on there. Show you how to design your website, how to wireframe your website, how to write a sales page, how to write an email. We do all of these things inside of Brand Camp and inside of the Jumpstart program. We give you the explosive first coaching session that shows you how in a complimentary session you can blow someone's socks off and show them that you can actually help them get the results that they want in their life. It's $97 a month. All of these things, I do a weekly group coaching call every Wednesday with the people who are part of that program. So you never have to do this thing alone. Yes, all of the stuff that we give you, all the tools and everything else are all self-service, like you have access to them immediately, but we don't allow you to do this thing alone. So you get to join the online community. You get to join the weekly live calls. If you can't join them live, you can send your questions in ahead of time. We post those in the archive, and they're available within 24 hours, and you can and you get your questions answered. Again, this is like next to nothing. $97 a month is like Starbucks. It's $3.25 a day. And it has a 3-month minimum commitment. So no school is doing everything that we're doing to not only get people trained and certified as coaches. That's where most people stop. What we want to do is that we want you to thrive as a coach and thrive in your coaching practice. So we want to give you all the tools to be successful there. So again, there's a link inside of the description of this video where you can get more information about that. Now, let me look really quickly. I feel like I talked forever. Say hello to a few more people. There's Pam. Hey, Pam. Corrine, who's joining us from Canada. Yolanda from South Carolina as well. Cassandra from Mississippi. Awesome. Mississippi girl in a Missouri world. Awesome. Algeria is in the house. Tanzania is in the house. Awesome. Let's see. Who else do I need to say hello to? There's Lawrence. Hey, how's it going, Lawrence? It's been a while. Let's see. Who else do I need to say hello to? Awesome. See a bunch of your comments in there, Jen. Thank you so much. You were summing up things great. There's Gloria. Hey, Gloria. Awesome. There's Bart. Bart says, get in the game. Let's go. And Maiden posted that quote. Even bad coaching helps people. Yes. Awesome. Very good. William says, bootcamp is amazing. Go for it. I loved it. Awesome. Hey, does anybody have any final comments or questions before we head out for the day? Appreciate you guys giving me so much time. So happy to be standing vertically in front of you with my voice about, my voice is about 65%. My poor Jumpstart coaches have had to hear this grovelly voice the last 2 weeks, but it's much stronger than what it has been. So even though I haven't been doing Mentor Mondays, we've been still doing all of our Jumpstart stuff, and they've just had to suffer through this brutal voice of mine. All right, everyone. Well, listen, I appreciate you guys all immensely. Have a great rest of your week and take care.